Hi friends, welcome to Grace Music Lab. Thank you for tuning in. This week, Grace Music Lab is excited to share with you our book review title, Let My People Go, by A.W. Tozer. About the author, his full name, Aidan Wilson Tozer. He was born on April 21, 1897, in La Jose. Raised in poverty, Tozer had little formal education but developed a deep hunger for God. At age 17, while working at a tire company in Ohio, he overheard a street preacher say, "If you don't know how to be saved, just call on God." That simple message changed his life. He after that ran home, knelt down in prayer, and gave his life to Christ. Aidan Wilson Tozer is a writer, a ministry leader. He lived a simple and humble life. He spent hours in prayer daily, sometimes lying face down on the floor, seeking God's presence. He is one of the greatest modern Christian thinkers. His books still challenge and inspire believers worldwide. He lived out his message. Knowing God deeply is more important than anything else. The book Let My People Go tells the story of Robert A. Jaffray, a pioneer Canadian missionary. 1. His early life and calling. Robert A. Jaffray quoted, "The supreme and crying need of this lost world is the gospel. Shall we not rise at Christ's command to carry the blessed saving news to every perishing one?" Born into privilege in Toronto, Canada, Jaffray could have enjoyed a comfortable life managing his father's newspaper empire. Yet he chose Christ over wealth, dedicating his life to the Great Commission, Matthew chapter 28, verses 19 and 20. He refused the easy path, declaring, "It is one thing to hear God's call. It is another thing to obey it at any cost." 2. Overcoming personal struggles. Despite battling severe diabetes, a condition that could have shorted his ministry, Jaffray remained unwavering in his mission. He pushed beyond his physical limits, refusing to let illness define his calling. His perspective was clear. God does not look for strong men, but for those who will trust in his strength. 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9 tells, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." 3. Missionary work in China. Challenges and breakthroughs. Jaffray recognized early on that Western missionaries alone could not effectively evangelize China. The true key to lasting impact was equipping local believers. To this end, he established Bible training schools and published Christian literature in Chinese, empowering indigenous leaders to carry the gospel forward. His approach was simple yet transformative. A phrase said, "The key to reaching the world is training the people who are already there." 2 Timothy chapter 2 verse 2 tells, "And what you have heard from me in the presence of many witnesses, entrust to faithful men who will be able to teach others also." 4. Expansion into Southeast Asia. Robert A. Jaffray once declared, "We must reach those who have never heard, no matter the cost." He recognized Vietnam as a strategic gateway to Indochina and mobilized his missionary team to translate the Bible into Vietnamese and establish churches. His efforts bore lasting fruit as many Vietnamese Christians became missionaries themselves, continuing to spread the gospel to this day. Similarly, Jaffray saw the immense challenge of evangelizing Indonesia, a nation heavily influenced by other religions. Despite political resistance and threats, he remained steadfast, establishing a thriving church network. Today, Indonesia has one of the largest Christian populations in Southeast Asia, an enduring testament to his faith and vision. Acts chapter 1, verse 8, "You will be my witnesses in Jerusalem, and in all Judea and Samaria, and to the ends of the earth." 5. Facing persecution and war. Robert A. Jaffray said, "Christ has called us to go into all the world. He has not told us to wait until the doors are wide open." During World War II, Jaffray and other missionaries were captured by the Japanese army and sent to a prison camp in Indonesia. Even in captivity, he continued preaching and strengthening fellow prisoners. Despite harsh treatment, he refused to deny Christ, saying, "I am in God's hands. If he wills that I should suffer, so be it. If he wills that I should be free, I will continue his work." His final days, Jaffray's health deteriorated under the brutal conditions. But his faith never wavered. He passed away in the prison camp in 1945, faithful to the end. His final words to fellow prisoners were, "Keep the faith. The work is not ours, it is his." Revelation chapter 2, verse 10. Be faithful unto death, and I will give you the crown of life. 6. Legacy and impact, churches and leaders. He trained. The missionaries and pastors he mentored continued the work after his death. The Christian and Missionary Alliance churches in China, Vietnam, and Indonesia all trace their roots to Jaffray's efforts. What we can learn from his life: obedience over comfort. He chose missions over wealth and ease. Faith over weakness. Despite diabetes and illness, he never stopped working for God. Strategic evangelism. He trained local leaders, ensuring the gospel would continue after him. Perseverance in suffering. Whether in war, persecution, or captivity, he never compromised his faith. Matthew chapter 25, verse 21 tells us, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a little. I will set you over much." Final thoughts. Tozer wrote this biography not just to tell Jaffray's story, but to challenge us to live with the same faith and boldness. Robert A. Jaffray said, "The church must send or the church will end." Jaffray's life reminds us that the gospel is worth every sacrifice. Whether through missions, prayer, or generosity, we are all called to play our part in fulfilling the Great Commission. I'm leaving the book link here for anyone who wants to buy and read it. Once again, thank you for tuning in. See you next week. Emmanuel.